Well, first of all, thank you, Cam, and I don't know how many of you got a phone call as you were parking your car and coming in, but I thought, man, this is service, so I felt really guilty about the fact that maybe I was holding things up, but luckily I wasn't. So the Wilson Home was established in 1937 when the Wilsons generously donated 5.5 hectares of property that you can see behind you, behind me, and their home. That was actually where they lived. So it was quite a generous gift, and in those days it was really to serve people, young kids who had contracted polio. Times have changed, thankfully, and we have all sorts of things going on at the Wilson Home now. We have about 25 volunteer gardeners who look after those 5.5 hectares. And we also have, of course, quite a historic property. I mean, one of the things that probably a lot of people remember or think about when they see, if they go to the home, is the fact that the old homestead is still intact. It's been renovated to some extent and changed a little bit, but the overall property has been preserved, and we actually value that heritage nature that's been preserved there. Nowadays, the home is used by three main groups. The Wairemata District Health Board runs services for children there, and for children who've come from outside of the Auckland area, there is also accommodation for their families while those children are receiving rehabilitation treatment. The DHB also runs a respite service, and of course on the site we have the Wilson School, and the trust is based there, the Wilson Home Trust. So there are actually three different entities. Increasingly, what we're trying to do is integrate that site with the surrounding community, recognising that it's a beautiful heritage site, it's quite aesthetically lovely. There are aspects of the ecological coastline, which is one of the oldest bits of Pahutakawa forest on the North Shore that hasn't been developed. So I guess balancing all of those heritage things, the aesthetic, with the needs of children and families moving forward, brings us to where we are now and what we're trying to do. So as I say, we're trying to integrate that site, which has been a little bit austere and shut off, more with the community and bringing the community in. And this has involved people like Mark and our kids going out off the site to enjoy a number of activities, including the stand-up paddling, which was just fantastic. And that's the sort of thing that the Trust is involved increasingly in doing. In holding events on site, which are family events, and having vibrancy and colour, in ensuring that the children are not only moving out off the site, it's not a facility-based approach to care, but it's actually, we're starting to think about it as a community within the community, and increasingly inviting people in, increasingly having kids who are staying there being involved in other activities beyond their rehabilitation. So that's looking at art, music, dance, all sorts of other, and play, for instance. So that's an example of a dance activity being held at the Wilson School. So it's important for us to understand what the DHB services are and then try and augment those with things that children love to do, just ordinary play things that sometimes they miss out on. So this is the result of an art adventure. So we host Art Adventure, which is a little company of two wonderful women who provide art experiences for children. We also host Touch Compass, the dance company, the All Abilities dance company. So we host them on site. And we love having them there. And increasingly what we'd like to do is develop the site further to provide for those sorts of people to come and share what they can do. We provide a number of other things in terms of grants for equipment, mobility equipment, for activities, and for special assistance for families that are in strife. And that's where a lot of our funds go. In fact, all of our donated or fundraised funds go straight back to families and to children. So looking forward, we're looking at the 5.5 hectares in a pretty prime spot in Takapuna and saying, well, how can we make this work best for children? And so we're starting to think of that site as a village within the community. And what would you find in a village? Well, for a start, it would be very accessible and inclusive, and people could come through. Whilst protecting the privacy of families who are staying there and the security of those families, we should be inviting the community onto the site, and we should be making it just a normal part of the surrounding community. Albeit we have this wonderful 5.5 hectares of green space. Now that's just a picture of the know-how that some of you may have attended. We held it at the ASB Stadium at North Harbour, and that's something else that we sponsor every 2 years, and we're hoping to move that know-how day to another part of Auckland because we realise it's hard for some people to get to. So the idea of the village community has really taken shape, and we're now working with the DHB to look at how we progress that. So the next slide actually shows a concept of kind of the beginning of thinking about it as a village, and we're thinking about human scale, low rise, not a facility look, but a village look to our community. And this is just a graphic of the kind of concept of, if that's the old homestead there, if you know it, that's the cottage where we're based, and these other buildings in a more intimate scale than what they are currently. And we've got quite a mix and configuration of style and quality. And this is actually, oh, that's the final slide, but I was going to show you, I thought I had one of the village look, but we had an artist do some graphics of what the final result could look like, and we'll be able to share those with you in the near future. Thank you very much.